Hello everyone, welcome to my game room, and this is the place where I might do some videos, my new set with the camera shelf. We'll see how that goes. Well, welcome to the video. This is Gary D. Tonicourt from morethanasnapshot.com. Today I want to talk about some new software from Topaz. It's going to be the new version of their studio software. It's going to be called Studio 2. And in Studio version 1, of course, that was their free app that kind of tied together a lot of their filters. A lot of the filters were free, but then they offered premium filters and you had to pay for each filter. The new version, Studio 2, is just going to be one price. You're going to pay one price and you're going to get all the filters. So there's no more free version. And the advances are, of course, they've made it faster and they've streamlined it and they've made all kinds of little bug fixes. But the big thing is they've made a cleaner, more easy to use interface. And it's really cool. It still has all the filters, and it even has an improved looks library. So you have all those artistic filters, even with the impressionist paintings and all of those tools that Topaz is kind of famous for. Now the big improvement they've made is they've added non-destructive layers. And these layers are going to work a lot like they work in Photoshop. You can move them up and down and around. You can use blend modes, you can use masks, and this is going to allow all kinds of new opportunities, like for photo retouching and for maybe creating artistic compositions. So it's going to make this program a whole lot more useful, and I'm excited to see how it's going to work. So we're going to jump in and take a look right now. All right, let's get started with Studio 2. We're going to start by opening an image, and I'm going to come down and pick a landscape that has some fall color. Okay, here we have a raw file that's been totally not processed at all, and we're going to start by adding filters. So the first filter I'm going to add is AI Clear. It will remove some noise and it will, clarify the image, and it does all of this pretty much automatically. So if you want to look down here, you can see the options if you want to adjust things. Right now it's doing everything on auto. If I wanted to try high or some other setting, I could play around with each one of these options. And I find that AI Clear works really well. I really enjoy that filter. So when you're done with the filter, you can just click the little X and you can see here it put all of the adjustments on a layer. Now the nice thing about that is you can make masks, you can delete the layer, or you can just see the before and after effect of what you've done just on that layer. Alright, so now I'm going to go back and add another filter. And you'll notice, I forgot to mention that when we look at these filters, we used to have in Studio 1 just a small section of filters that were free, and then there were the more advanced filters that you had to pay for. Now they all come with this bundle because you're paying the full price for the software. So we're going to start with the basic adjustment, and it's what you would expect. We have some control over the exposure, clarity. I'm going to take the shadows down a little bit, take the highlights down a little bit, and I'll set the black point. I'll pick some dark black area here in the shade, and then I'll set the white point to be this highlight here, and I'll add just a little bit of saturation. Alright, the one thing that I'm not crazy about this is you can't see the histogram, so I feel a little bit blind when I'm making these adjustments without my histogram, but it's basically the same kind of thing you'd see in any image editing program. There's also an auto white balance. I'll turn that on. And I'll add another filter. Now I could use curves because this photo does need some contrast, so I'll take down the shadows a little bit and pick up the highlights and make it a gentle little S curve. And that added some contrast to my photo. There is a better way to add contrast, so I'm not going to do too much with curves. And you'll see that in a few minutes. Alright, the next one is dehaze. Now you don't have to use every one of these filters. I'm just going to go through some that I find interesting. This photo does seem to have a little bit of haziness to it, so I'm going to try and see how dehaze works with it. Obviously, if I go way too far, that would not be good. I'm going to back off from here just a little bit. Alright, I think around there looks pretty good. So the dehaze slider, I think, had a pretty big effect. Here you can see the before and the after from just using that dehaze slider. Alright, I'm not going to change any colors right now. Precision contrast. I think this tool is pretty good at adjusting the contrast. You have control of the micro, the low, the medium, and the high contrast. So I'm going to add just a little bit of micro, because if you add a lot of micro contrast, you can see that it gets really crunchy really fast. So fine, just a little bit of that is good. Low contrast, same thing. It can get kind of crunchy, although I'm almost liking that look, and that's just too strong. So I'm going to put this one up fairly high, and then I'm going to add medium contrast. And I find it's good to crank the slider all the way up just to see really what it's affecting, and then back it down to a place where you think it looks good for your photo. And then we'll do the same thing with the high contrast. Okay. And we'll also try going in the other direction. It doesn't always have to be more contrast, it could be less. And in this case, I think I like that. Alright, as far as lighting goes, we got shadows, midtones, and highlights. Let's check this out. That's brightening things, and that's darkening things in the shadows. So I'm going to pull the shadows down a little bit. The midtones, I'm going to brighten those up just a little bit. And the highlights, I'm going to take those down just a little bit. And the color saturation, the vibrance. I like vibrance over saturation, so I'm just going to add a little bit of vibrance. Don't want it to be too heavy-handed on that one. Okay, so I'm going to close that panel, and here I'm going to check the before and the after just for that, and I like what that has done. Precision detail, that's going to crisp things up. I think we kind of did that a lot with the last adjustment, so I don't think I'm going to use this one, but you have the same kind of sliders. You got small, medium, and large detail sliders. And I think if I continue to add this, it's just going to be obviously way too much. So since I did a lot of that with the last contrast tool, I'm just going to delete this one, and I'm not going to use it. And let's go to sharpen. And we'll use the unsharp mask. I'll zoom in on something. And I just want to see it just start to get a little bit crunchy, not too much. So I'll find that spot where it just begins to get crunchy, and that's usually pretty good for printing. I'll leave the threshold and the radius as they are. So you can see before sharpening and after sharpening. Alright, let's see what else we have. Now that's done with all those essential basic filters. There are some other filters that you can play around with. If I like the photo the way it is right now, I could just export a file, and I'll just leave this file name the way it is and export it. And now I can continue on and make more adjustments. So let's say I want to do a dual tone. So for the highlight color, we'll do the standard sort of teal and orange. So the highlights will add sort of a teal color, and the shadows orange color. I'm going to crank it way up just so you can see what's happening, but I'm going to drop the opacity a little bit. Okay, that's the before and that's the after. And if I just want to see the before for the duotone, and that is the after. All right, so we've made a duotone. And focal blur, we don't need that, but let's say we want to make it more film-like. We can add some grain. We'll increase the size, add a little randomness. We want color noise. Let's see if we can see this noise. Okay, it's not super evident, but it adds a little texture to the photo. All right. Let's see, what else can we add? Now, this bottom part, the stylistic part, this is where you can really get creative and add some really crazy things. But before I do that, let's save this as a look. And I'll call this Duo Teal Orange. All right, so that will be in my looks the next time if I want to create that kind of a duotone. I don't need to go through all of those steps. That will be saved for me. So let's go back and try some of these fancy stylistic tools. And I thought this was pretty cool. There's a simplify slider. I'll go all the way so you can see what it can do to a photo. If you really want to make it sort of like a painting, you can go crazy with the simplify, and that can create an interesting effect. Or I'll take it down to 0 again. This slider called Feature Boost. I think when you're at the beginning stages of the Feature Boost, it really makes the rocks and stuff look pretty cool. Increase the detail strength. I think it's making the details in there really pop. Let's go back to simplify and see if we want any of that. All right. If you wanted it to be very photorealistic, this would not be probably an option you would want, but I think that's kind of interesting. And let's try the impressions, because this software Topaz is pretty famous for, because it's a pretty good painting program. It can take your photo and make it look like a painting, as you can see here. And you can change all kinds of settings, like what kind of brush strokes are used. And you can change everything about the brush strokes. So if you really like to get creative and you really like to spend a lot of time with this sort of thing, this can be a lot of fun. All right. And so now we have a painting. And if you don't like it full strength, you can take the opacity down and have something sort of halfway between a painting and a photo, which can also be an interesting look, something like that. So again, if you like what you've done, you can save it as a look, or if you just want to capture this photo, I'll export another version. And I don't know, I'll call it fall painting. And I'll export that. All right, now that's all of the manual things you can do. You can really dive deep into all of these menus. But if you just wanted to keep it simple, the nice thing about this program is it comes with tons of pre-made looks. So here you can see all of the looks. There are a lot of them, so if I were to do this, it would take a minute for all of this to load. But you'll see all the different kinds of paintings, all the textures, all the color overlays. There's all kinds of things you can do to your photo. And the nice thing is now that this program is using non-destructive layers, you can add one effect on top of another effect and create something totally new and different. All right, so maybe I want this to look like a 1950s print. So when I click that, it'll apply this. A preview of it right now, actually. Okay. And I can also adjust the opacity of this. I like this one at full strength, so I'm going to apply it. And here you can see that it puts it on as a layer. And the advantage of putting it on as a layer is, of course, you could do masking if you didn't want it to show up everywhere. And you can add more layers on top of it and see, how it's going to go if we push it even further. Let's say I add the antique amber to it. Just see how that looks. All right, it added a border and it changed the colors inside of the picture. If I don't like that, I don't have to apply it. I could try something totally different, like maybe Beach Dream, okay, or let's try Bleach Stain. Well, that's interesting. I don't really have a plan here. I'm just trying out different ones to see if I find an effect that looks interesting. And by stacking these effects, that's where the real power of this comes in. It's adding multiple effects. That's why this is taking a few minutes to work. All right, that one was a really strong effect. I don't want that one. Oh, what about breaking through? All right, I think that's pretty interesting. Let's see if we can apply that. And I'm going to add another look because I want to add a look that has a strong color to it. Maybe the green or the red or the amber. Let's try the green just for the heck of it. All right, I think that is too strong of a texture. I could take the opacity down. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of that look. Well, with the opacity down, it's not bad. Let's see if this burning dust one is going to look better. I like that. I like that effect. May not want it at full strength. All right, so I'll add that effect. Now if I want to see the before and the after, I'm totally in a whole new place. And if I like this look, I click Add Look, or actually not Add Look, Save Look. And this one I'll call Grunge Sunset. And this has flare, texture, antique color. So it has a little description. All right, so now I have a new preset. And if I like this, I will export this one. Okay, so I'll give that a name and export that one as well. So you can see here, in this short editing session, I've gone through a progression where I've created multiple images, at least 3 different looks, just by going through all of the sliders and then going through all of the looks. I've created all kinds of different looks, and I've gone from there to there. It's an editing rabbit hole you can go down. You could spend hours and hours doing different things, and who knows what you can create. But that's kind of the fun of this. This program is very interesting if you like to play and you want to create some artistic new creation out of your photo. And that's pretty much the basic features of Studio version 2. Hope you found this useful. So, what did you think of that? I think it was really cool. It was efficient, it was easy to use, it did a great job on fixing the images, and I really think you should give it a try. Topaz is known for making great plugins. And if you want to try it, you can check out the link down in the description. It's an affiliate link, so you'll be helping my channel, but it's not going to cost you anything extra, and you'll get this great software. I think they have a coupon code, and my code would be Snapshot if you want to give that a try. I'm not sure if the discount will come out because this is a new program, but it's worth giving it a try if you want to. So again, this has been Gary D. Tonicourt from morethanasnapshot.com saying don't forget to share and like this video, and also click the little bell icon so you can be notified the next time I upload a video.